here.
And clap.
Oh, he's got the clapper. All righty. Clap on, clap off. All right, let's build off that. So hello out there, Packer Nation. Welcome to another edition of the Absolute Packer Podcast. We are on number 64, which I have titled The Big Easy Peasy, because that was a pretty comfortable win, even if the score was relatively close, I would say. And so, without further ado, I am Andrew Hetzel, and with me, as always, is Elliot Christensen and Jeremy Hautala. What's up, guys?
Three.
What are you doing? Your fingers are disappearing. What's wrong with you? You're not really into painting?
Yeah. Somehow I don't think you're outside of Lambeau Field.
Oh, wait. Oh.
Yeah, but I'm closer than you are.
I know you are, but what am I? And then there's me with my trusted psychedelic card behind me all the time. Oh, where the heck did Elliot disappeared? Now I have two of Jeremy's.
Best kind.
I hope not.
No, I don't see Elliot.
Final recording.
I don't see Elliot. Oh, there he is. Okay. We're back. And we're back. Yeah, Jeremy, you look like you're in like Blade Runner.
I'm in the...
You're in a dystopian future.
I was going to say dystopian French Quarter.
There you go. That's exactly right.
There you go. Like the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
I see what's going on here. All right. So the Packers defeated the New Orleans Saints on the road, 37-30. Hop right into the notes here. This was supposed to be the first, real test for the Packers this season. It was on the road against perennial NFC power, that being the New Orleans Saints. And, maybe I would say it didn't disappoint. The game itself was kind of back and forth with a fair amount of lead changes. And, ultimately, I would say the Packers are and were the better team, and they even prevailed without their number one wide receiver, Davante Adams, who was out with a hamstring injury. And then as kind of a little side note underneath here, Matt Lefleur is now 16-3 as the Packers head coach. The best start to any Packers head coach career in the history of the franchise. So he is obviously better than Vince Lombardi because his record is better to start.
Theoretically.
No, this is
legitimately. Let's wait for that.
Well, let's wait till he wins the Lefleur Trophy.
Yeah, when you have a trophy named after yourself. No, what is that from Dodgeball? It's like, nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Cram it in your cram hole. That's what I always want to say when I see his name. Cram it in your cram hole, Lefleur. No, I mean, look, I said he seems to be the real deal. He's not the flashiest guy, but, and some of this might just be like, what's the term, recency bias or whatever, but it's like we were so used to Mike McCarthy for so long, and this offense isn't, it's, again, I'm using kind of air quotes here. It seems like a wild departure from a Mike McCarthy offense because the amount of pre-snap motion and deception and all of these kinds of things that, I mean, you just didn't see it in McCarthy's offense. So it's I think they kind of are just catching up with the rest of the league. But since we aren't used to seeing much of this, we're all just like, I'm just like, holy cow, Anywho.
Well, just think about this. Like, their play action last night was deadly. I think Rodgers was 15 of 19 for 188 yards and 3 TDs.
Rodgers,
now, if you think about the last touchdown, now let's get back to the misdirection and the play or the motion, pre-snap and all that kind of stuff. You can see the defenses truly have no idea what's coming because they also align in the same alignments. And it looks like a pass play and a run play because if you look at the tape, that alignment and that pre-snap motion is the same on a run and a pass. So, you could tell, and it really how they kept on doing it throughout the game. It worked on the last touchdown because they weren't even expecting Tonyan to come out of there, and they
even pointed that out on the broadcast.
Big Bob Tonyan.
Big Bob Tonyan. Yeah.
That was a great play because when in live watching that play live, when we were talking about the last touchdown, it's like I could see him kind of just like pretend to block and then leak out. And right when that happened, I go, he's wide open, and
you could see it clear as day.
Yeah, It was a great play call, great execution, all that. And it was just, again, it seemed like those were the kinds of things you just didn't see from McCarthy offense.
No, and we would talk about it all the time, and we'd talk about it so much we'd get sick of talking about it.
Agreed.
I felt like isn't this table stakes? That isn't the small amount of obfuscation and just complexity? Isn't that just table stakes?
Conspicuity?
Right? I knew you were going to throw that.
We're full of inside jokes. Quickly, move on, Andy.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Mike McCarthy's offense relies on talent. This offense relies on perfect execution. Because, like you said, Andy,
and the illusion,
how Tanyan came off of that block and ran the route and was wide open. That is pure execution, because how you sell it is how it's executed, and it was perfect.
Marketing, baby.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That is kind of it, right? I mean, it's great to see, and I think in the past what we found, and again, I don't want to keep going back to McCarthy, but that's what we have to kind of compare this stuff to. If a Davante Adams or a great wide receiver was down, we'd be like, oh, we'd know we were in for a long day. And
that's true.
And I mean,
we had Adams out before, and we felt like the end was.
Well, I mean, hell,
we were 3-0 without him.
Yeah, we're 4-0 without him, I think.
Well, I'm thinking of last year, but yeah.
Oh yeah. But yeah, it's like, remember when, I can't remember what year it was, when Jordy went down, and I think they started off okay, and then it was just like, yeah, something like that. But where they lost him, like either in the preseason, I think, or his ACL or something, and it was like that was the end. I mean, it was like they built everything around that, and then they had no hope. Look, it helps to have Aaron Jones for sure, and it also helps to have Jamal Williams, because again, I think Jamal Williams is, I don't want to say criminally underrated, but I think he's underrated, and that 1-2 punch is great. And then maybe one day we'll see your boy A.J. Dillon, Jeremy. He wants to see him so bad.
I went back and counted how many times I said last night, why did we draft A.J. Dillon? It was 17 times. So
17 times.
I mean, seriously, that's my biggest gripe about this draft is our first 2 draft picks we're getting no value from, but we're 3-0. How does that work?
Somebody's got to get the water.
Somebody's got to have the big legs that we can ogle at with A.J. Dillon or whatever when I make a whole thing about him. Yeah, what can you say? Last year I think the offense was kind of a Frankenstein, right? You were getting some of Lefleur and a lot of what McCarthy was, which makes sense. As I take a look at this season, though, it's like I would have thought they would struggle almost more because of COVID and all that kind of stuff. No off season. And plus, like you said, the draft, they didn't get guys to help them right away. I mean, I thought it'd be a little better, but man, they're just, 37 points, and it's like, oh, their offense is down because they were scoring more than 40 in the first 2 games. It's crazy.
Well, think about this. I sent this message to you guys. Out of 30 possessions in 3 games, the Packers have 13 touchdowns, 7 field goals, 5 punts, 2 turnovers on downs, and 3 kneel downs to end the game.
Damn.
They've scored on 20 out of their 30 possessions.
Right.
That good?
Freaky.
Right.
What's that?
I said, is that good?
It's above average. It's above average.
Yeah.
That's like a quarter for Russell Wilson, though.
Yeah. He's on fire. Yes, he is.
Yeah, I in my notes here, the first bullet is Aaron Rodgers playing lights out. He's getting the ball out much quicker, dumping it off a lot more, screens. He's not holding the ball, running these dumb shot plays and all that. I think we did see one in this game, but we weren't seeing them all the time. And I said, he's got 9 TDs, no interceptions. He would be the early favorite for MVP if Russell Wilson wasn't breaking NFL records. What else can you say? Rodgers is playing fantastic, but that also goes to show you how good Russell Wilson's playing.
I know.
And who did Russell Wilson beat for that record?
McCarthy, Dallas.
M is the correct last name letter. It's Mahomes. He had 14 last year.
Oh, I got you. I was like,
sorry, maybe I wasn't very clear on that, but
no, it's okay. You got me. I haven't heard a whole lot about Mahomes this year. I imagine he's playing well, but Russell Wilson, he's playing out of his freaking mind. He broke the NFL record for touchdowns in the first 3 games. He's thrown 15. Rodgers has 9 touchdowns, and he's like playing great. And Russell Wilson has 6 more. The same amount of games. That's incredible. But this is not the Russell Wilson podcast.
No.
May I remind
Yet. There's still time.
And I mean, I guess, I'll point to one specific play where I think Rodgers really just showed his awesomeness. And that was in the fourth quarter there, 3:49 left, 3rd and 5. And they're on the 15-yard line. And if they don't get a first down, they kick a field goal and they're up by 6 with right around 3 minutes to go. And this is where the no crowd factor really helped the Packers, when it would have probably helped the Saints because you can't communicate. But because Rodgers' cadence was crystal clear, he got the defense to jump off sides, got a free play. Now, mind you, Rodgers has had 5 free plays through 3 games so far. But that play right there was so perfectly executed because all you had to do was throw it up, and it was pass interference, ball to 1.
Yep.
Yeah. That was the dagger.
It was absolutely a masterpiece on that particular.
That has got to be so demoralizing for a defense.
Oh my God, yeah.
And you're the home team, and you're like, we lost because
and they know it's coming.
That's the thing. Yeah.
The opponent.
It's like a slow moving iceberg.
The opponent played checkers while we're all playing chess. God.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, that throw where Rodgers, it was on a bootleg, I think he rolled out, and this was wasn't a touchdown, but it was a long pass to Lazard where he had to kind of jump to grab it. It was like a 55-yard pass, I think.
Yeah.
And Rodgers just flicks it. I mean, when you look at it, we sometimes forget how spoiled we are, I mean, and how easy he makes it because, look, I think the only quarterbacks who can make that throw are maybe him and Mahomes. I don't think Russell Wilson can make that throw. I mean, he's great, but I don't know if he can. Mahomes and Rodgers. And it's like to be able to be rolling out against your grain, the grain of your body, your throwing motion, basically, and be able to flick it and get that much air around it, 55 yards it's incredible.
Well, did you see that one pass that he threw to Tonyan on the right side of the field, who's actually looking downfield?
Yep.
And when he
it was like
threw
a no-look pass.
It was like it was a Mahomes pass.
Yeah,
it was
the no-look pass.
Ridiculous. Thing, and I think we were really hard. I was very hard on Aaron Rodgers last year, but he has proven he's still one of the best in the game.
Yeah,
hands down.
Yeah, I agree. The tales of his demise are way too early.
Well, and he's playing like he's still got gas in the tank. Like he's leaving room on the table. Like he could play more. He could play harder.
Yeah.
Like he's not trying his hardest.
And they got a big problem now because they got his heir apparent sitting there.
I know.
Literally sitting on the bench.
Street clothes. Man, I mean, if Rodgers balls out, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't even want to. He has to actually try. I don't know what he would do.
Well, this was the first round pick was used to incentivize him. It's working.
I mean, that's an expensive way to go out.
Right.
I was going to say, if that's the kind of 4D chess that Gutekunst is playing, Jesus, I'm like, buddy, I get what you're trying to do, but please go about it in other methods.
Yeah. Right.
But I already talked about the pre-snap motion. Jace Sternberger, my boy. I have a crush on this guy.
You better get in line because I think that Rodgers does too. I saw those eyes.
Well, man, it was like he's the guy. He was the guy in the beginning of the year. I was like, this guy, I think he's going to come on because he looked great at the end of last year. He really started to come on and even caught a touchdown. I mean, it was kind of garbage time-ish in the NFC Championship game. But I didn't realize he had 0 catches in his regular season, his entire career up until last game, and he had been dropping everything. I mean, look, he had been a massive disappointment. And look, he caught 2 balls. They weren't the most sexy or dramatic things, but look, if they can get somebody who can open up the middle of the field, an actual tight end,
watch out.
Holy cow. That's really all they really need. If you get Davante back and we got the running backs we got, the only place we really can't attack right now is the middle with an athletic tight end. And so we need Sternberger. I mean, Tanyan he's an undrafted free agent. He's not bad, but he is who he is. Sternberger's got way more upside, and I think he just needed some confidence. And you could tell Rodgers he was genuinely happy that because I think he knows what Sternberger can be. So that was good to see. And then, I say Aaron Jones was good, not great, but he was fine. I don't know if that's the best way to describe his performance. He really didn't make any mistakes or anything. I'll tell you what, it's hard to look dominant when you're playing opposite Alvin Kamara.
Oh,
I'll get to him later, but
but he's got a way better hat though.
Yeah,
the sombrero,
better personality, I guess.
Yeah, that sombrero, man. I want that.
Would
sombrero.
you agree that he was?
But Kamara has what do they call that? The grill, where he's got like the
not the same,
teeth?
not the same. He's a pale imitation.
That's impressive.
Man, if I was a football player, you know what I'd do? I would permanently have my implant, my front tooth removed. Is what I would do. And I would just.
If you were a football player, you'd have to put on a few pounds.
This is true. That's right.
But it's a game of speed, Elliot. So
I should start. Wait! I should start hanging out with you guys then, huh?
That's
That's pretty good.
What did you run to the fridge?
Ooh, that was good. Zingers. Look at me, Dave. Oh my God, we are nerds. I love it. But would you agree with Aaron Jones? I mean, he was good, not great. He was. I mean, I was expecting him at some point to just take over the game, and he looked like he was about to, but then he really didn't need to. So, I mean, in a way,
don't you feel like everybody was all eyes around him?
Yeah, and I mean, you didn't have Davante. That's a trickle-down effect, because then they're going to say, okay, we're going to focus everything on Jones.
And the funny thing I heard in the presser last night with Aaron Rodgers, he said that the Saints were leaning their coverage towards MVS. So that's why Lazard had as much single coverage and was as wide open, because they were swinging the coverage and doubling Marquez because they were scared of his downfield speed, which was kind of interesting because we don't get to see that on the TV. Because we only get to see like 20 yards of the field, which is pretty much the line of scrimmage. Right. So if that's what he saw, what the heck were the Saints thinking? He's not your biggest weapon,
That's funny.
Right.
We love you, MVS, but gee.
We love you. We love you.
Hey, Jeremy, do you still get the All-22, or was that just last year? Okay. You've been watching all the All-22 of every game here and there, or just?
Yeah, I didn't watch this game yet, but I'm
not enough. Yeah, kind of not enough time type thing. I got you.
Yeah.
But, I said the offense did miss not having Davante Adams. I think that's pretty plain. But the other wide receivers stepped up and played solid, if not spectacular, football. I mean, I think that's a pretty good descriptor. Lazard, they're squeezing everything they can out of him. He's solid. The only thing that worries me about a guy like Lazard now is the Geronimo effect. Because a few years ago, Geronimo played great, was undrafted, and then he just completely down. I mean, he got hurt, I think, at one point too. But it's like, whatever. Let's just ride it out. I think he's better than Geronimo, but.
Well, and a lot of fans forget about Jarrett Boykin, because I think he had close to 60 catches in that 1 year. I think it was his rookie or second year, and then he was nowhere to be found after that. So, and Geronimo had the same telltale kind of career. He never had as many catches, but he had a good, promising rookie and second year, and then.
I mean, I think that's how undrafted free agents work. Once they get some film on you, once they figure out how you're going to be, you're just not good enough to take that next step.
Right. And it goes to show you the talent evaluation in the league is really underrated, because if you can go out there and you can find these hidden gems, but then they are never drafted, and like you said, they kind of fizzle out towards the end and they were never drafted. What does that tell you? That tells you these teams are really honing in on these guys and being able to read them perfectly,
Yeah, no, that's interesting. It's definitely,
great point.
It's an art, not a science, but that's a good point. So next bullet, the Packers went for it on fourth down 3 times, I think.
Finally, yeah.
Now this was again
good,
very un-McCarthy-esque and very aggressive. Yeah. Now, if my memory is correct, hopefully it is. They were 2 for 3. Is that right? Yeah. Now, the one they didn't get, ugly. But Had they got it, it would have been great. It's one of those classic things. But again, it's good to see it's good to see them being super aggressive. I think a lot of the analytics point that they should do it anyway. Teams should be going for fourth down more anyway. But the other thing is, and I didn't put this in the notes, but as I think about it here, I think part of the reason they're going for a fourth down is because they're looking at that defense going, their own defense, that is. No, I don't trust you.
Right.
Well, I mean, but if you're going for it at midfield, you got to have some confidence in your defense, because when they went for it there in the fourth quarter and you don't get it, the Saints were in prime position to pretty much take that game over.
That's true.
We got them 3-0. So we were very fortunate there. We only had 3 possessions where the Saints didn't score last night. So that tells you something.
Yeah.
That's probably why he said, back to your point, go for it on fourth, get this first down, and then we could just milk the clock and just win the game that way, rather than putting on our defense.
Yep. No, I agree. Final bullet I have is the one area where the Packers need to improve on offense is the red zone. I go, they're kicking ass between the 20s, but when they get to the red zone, they're not sharp. Way too many wasted plays, and I said basically just some plain poor play calling. I don't know if it's just way too predictable or whatnot, but are they terrible in the red zone? No, but you can just see it happen, right? They're tearing up between, and then right when you get there, they're just like, they seem to stall, or just once the defense has to compress. Look, they're not the only teams that have to deal with this, obviously. But once the field compresses, where you can't chuck it as far down, just by virtue of what you got left to get to the end zone, it does become more difficult. But I don't know. Sometimes it just seems like the Packers.
So do you think that's a speed thing, or a lack of complexity thing, or execution? Or is it all of those things?
All those things, but a lot of execution.
Yeah, it's got to be more execution there. Because speed is going to help you between the 20s. You'd think more, right? Right. Now, look, overall athleticism. Like if you got a guy if you got Gronk down there, it helps because you can kind of throw it up, so to speak. But yeah, I tend to. It probably is more execution and marketing, selling what you're doing, deception. Yeah. Like when we were talking about earlier, when Tanyan sold that block and on the final touchdown, and then he leaked out into the. But it also helps if you can get some play action. They don't know if you're going to run or pass. Right. Then sometimes you just get caught guessing and you guess wrong. I think it happens to every team.
Yeah.
So
double down on that, go even more harder on selling those things harder, and
no doubt.
Yeah.
It's all about the deceiving of the intent, because that sells every single play in the NFL, because it's very tough to go man up on guys and expect to win on a consistent basis. But what you can win on, because the talent is so supreme, is deception. And that's what the Packers are doing so well right now.
So do you think that so is that a matter of practice, play calling? How they're all pros, right? So if
I think it's more the head coach and the scheme, maybe not more, but look, when you look at Lefleur's offense and how it's structured versus McCarthy, that's where you can kind of start, right? Yeah. And Lefleur has even said, some of it's just the illusion. I think, if I recall, early in one of his press conferences when he was hired, he wanted to have the illusion of complexity, where it's actually quite simple, but it's the marketing. You make it seem more. Look, McCarthy would just line people up. He's like, we're going to beat you with our guys. Yeah. The league doesn't work that way anymore. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it really points to the coach, because we don't get to see any of these practices. So what are they doing in that 2-hour time frame? Are they being very productive with each and every minute and talking about execution and preaching execution? And
McCarthy was getting massages toward the end, apparently. Remember?
Oh my God!
You heard that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's hope they were the. I can't go there. Anyway.
No, I just think some coaches have such good attention to detail, and I think Lefleur does, and I think that rubs off on his team, and also too, I think when they go out and they bring in players, they want a certain up above the shoulder And these players are in that realm or in that
Football
like
intelligence.
average field of what they want. Yeah, football intellect.
Well, I was actually that's a really good point. And I was actually just thinking about this right before we came on that you hear about some of the best quarterbacks of all time, and the one that comes to mind outside of like Aaron Rodgers, somebody who isn't playing anymore, is Peyton Manning, right? Who basically was like a coach on the field, one of the best readers of defenses and all that. I would argue that Aaron Rodgers might be the best, quote, coach on the field, smartest quarterback to ever play the game, in addition to just maybe being one of the most straight up talented, because that guy, do you think he's ever out there confused? No. I mean, he can read any defense. He can read it on the fly. Right. He can process it, and he's got the physical talents. I mean,
I think, but I don't think he's always. Weakness is he overthinks certain plays. Like I don't remember if you remember years ago when they were in Carolina and he came back from his collarbone injury, and they needed to win that game to continue their playoff march. And on fourth down inside the red zone, he missed a wide open receiver, and I can't remember who it was because it was like a play action, and he missed him, like he overthrew it. And he comes back to the bench, looks at the tablet, throws a tablet down.
Oh, that
play.
Yep.
Like I just think that he just sometimes either doesn't execute or he just overthinks it, and that's the part of the intellect that is hard to duplicate. Now, I would go to the point of
kind of a blessing and a curse, right?
Right. Is there a quarterback that can compete with his intellect and his coaching like mindset? Joe Montana is the one I can think of in recent history.
Maybe, but I would argue that the offenses back then were much more simple versus what they're running today. Maybe they were more simple, but the processing speed that Rodgers has and is remarkable.
Oh, it is, and I'm not taking that away from him.
Yes, you are. Stop
it. When Bill Walsh brought the initialization of the West Coast offense, that was a very intricate offense to understand.
That's true. I mean, they built it, so yeah, he was kind of building it,
and he was the architect of that. Bill Walsh and Joe Montana. So, I'm not saying that Joe Montana can compete in Aaron's intellect, but he's damn near close. But as far as like just an overall coach on the field, I can't remember the last guy that can do what's that?
Peyton Manning.
Yeah, but
he didn't have the physical skills that Rodgers had, but he had the head. That's for sure.
He had the head.
He had the head, but he was, man, he looked like Gumby out there when it came to his physical skills.
And that's the thing with Aaron Rodgers. He has it all. I mean, he has the arm, he has the mobility, and he has the intellect. And that is the most dangerous combination, the trifecta for a quarterback, is to have all three. And
I agree. I mean, pretty crazy. It's speaking of Peyton Manning, you remember when they threw up that graphic that said how many touchdowns he's thrown to first-round picks?
290-something.
And that is an unbelievable stat. Aaron Rodgers has thrown 2 touchdown passes to first-round picks in his entire career, both to Mercedes Lewis.
Yeah. Ain't changing anytime soon.
The old, I don't want to say he's washed up, but, no disrespect to Mercedes Lewis. Like, he's way past his prime. Good blocker. He had a great touchdown. And that was a great play by Rodgers and by Lewis. But it's like Peyton Manning had 293 touchdowns to first-round picks. Aaron Rodgers has 2. That's
like I mentioned last night.
My mind.
Oh, right. But you think about it, though. I mentioned that last night in our chat. Who did Peyton Manning have in Indianapolis? Marvin Harrison, and Reggie Wayne, 2 All-Pro and also Hall of Fame wide receivers.
Right. Yeah. For quite a while, too.
Long, yes.
Yeah.
Well, Rodgers has Big Bob Tonyan. Oh, no.
And your buddy Jace. Yeah. Just so you know, I think from now on, you need to put a Jace Sternberger picture whenever we do your
for my background?
Yes.
No, I think I'm going to do like
we're going to get that for you.
I'm going to do an animated GIF.
We're going to get a fat head.
No, I'm going to get an animated GIF of nesting dolls behind me.
I have to see that.
Yes, please do it.
That'd be good. Okay, so on to defense. I said the defense basically played bend but don't break football, which is probably the best we can hope for. A lot of these notes are essentially just stream of consciousness. So, there's objectivity I'm trying to put in there, but I'm just kind of like, would you agree with that?
Yeah.
That's the first point.
With there.
Yeah. Now,
why do you hate that so much, though?
Hate what? Bend but don't break?
Yeah. I mean,
what worries? Let me put it this way. What worries me about this defense? I mean, I did see that Jeremy put out some stats that, basically, I think the defense is middle of the pack stat wise.
Yeah.
Which is kind of surprising, in a good way, I guess. But they are so susceptible and frail against the run that if it just completely bottoms out somewhere, they're going to be in deep trouble because people are going to be able to do whatever they want. If you can establish the run, people are going to play action them to death. And as good as their corners are, I got to say, I didn't put this here, but their safety play has been subpar this year. Savage is kind of I don't know what to make of him. Amos is he's okay.
He's just there.
Yeah. Savage he's either too aggressive or,
Well, they play him all over the field. I mean, he doesn't play your traditional free safety. Well, he does play your traditional free safety where he is free to go wherever he wants or wherever Pettin wants to put him. And that is to debate. So right now, I don't want to throw the towel in on Savage. I contribute a lot of it.
No, I don't want to give up on him, but
I contribute a lot of it to Pettin's ability to get the most out of his certain players. And I'm speaking of two guys right now. I'm speaking of Savage and also Kevin King. Why are you playing so much? They're playing over 70% zone this year. And Kevin King is a man-to-man physical corner. And he is one of the worst corners in zone. So right now I have to question whether he's going to even be here because he's got a contract coming up after this year. He doesn't fit their scheme and Pettin's scheme at all. But
you're talking Kevin King. I thought you were talking about Pettin.
Kevin King. No, I think Pettin has proven that he wants a very light, quick, and fast defense. When he first came here, when he first came here, he played more man-to-man where he was jamming the receivers at the line and disrupting their timing. That's not happening now. And that to me, my opinion is that is a contributing factor to his confidence in the players that he has to run his scheme. But they've had 3 years to get the players to manufacture this scheme, and he's not confident in it. Okay, then why did we spend all of these really, really important draft picks and trade up against Savage last year, and you're not even putting a guy in position to make plays? Very questionable.
Savage, Savage could be, some of it could be scheme. Some of it could be just Savage not being as good as he should be. I'm trying to figure it out with him. But to your point, they traded up to get him. It's you got to be playing better than that. So, second bullet. Boy, tough for me to say, but it's true. Alvin Kamara is an incredible running back. I'd heard about him. I never actually watched him play. He's fun to watch. I said here,
best.
I said Aaron Jones is really good, but Kamara is even better. And it's hard for me to say that being a Packers fan, but it's true. That guy is, jeez Louise. And I mean, he's Aaron Jones, only better is the best way to describe it. He's a receiver. He's a great running back. He's shifty. He's fast. He's reliable. But he's better, And Aaron Jones is really good.
So we have a great running back, and he's so versatile. I don't understand why our defense can't learn a few things from him.
I honestly, the defense is not allowed to do what they do. Let's be perfectly honest. The talent level on that defense, I'm not talking about the front seven, really. I'm talking about the back end. The talent level is pretty good. So they play as much zone as they do. That is talent. And when you play zone, it actually is more difficult to play than man because in a zone, you're required communication. You're required to know that the next guy next to you or in front of you is always going to be where he needs to be.
And you got to pass off guys and all this stuff.
Right. Where a man-to-man is a more one-on-one scheme. It's more of just going up against the next guy and the best man wins. Where a zone requires communication, requires in syncness, and it also, to me, a zone defense, it really protects the players and hides your shortcomings. And I think that's what
it's
truly
supposed
doing
to.
in the front seven is protecting and hiding those shortcomings there.
No, that's a good point. And I specifically, I mean, it's probably more so the linebacking core than the defensive line. Protecting, right? Protecting the quote, or is it just the whole front seven?
If you want to go position wise, the defensive line is the biggest weakness. Everything starts on.
Could be linebacker now. Oh boy,
right.
Linebacker.
But everything starts at the line of scrimmage, whether it's your offensive line and defensive line. The rest just builds off of that. And right
Not having
now,
Kenny Clark, it's.
And you said that, like, we were without Davante Adams and Kenny Clark, who are your two best players besides Aaron Rodgers.
We still won.
And we still won. So kudos. But, like, I watched Billy Wynn last night, who they went and signed and brought him up from practice squad. And he was getting pushed off the ball so deep. It was ridiculous. And your defensive lineman, if you're going to play that light, your defensive linemen actually have to hold a block and not get pushed around. Otherwise, then you know what? Linemen are going to get to the second level, get to your linebackers, or in our case, get to our safeties that are playing as the extra backer, and you're going to get creamed on the run. It's,
But so they had these conversations today, though, don't you think?
Let's hope they have them every day.
Should have. They should.
No, but I mean, they just had a game. I mean, or maybe they get today off. But I mean, when they have their meetings, like they talk these things through, like we're saying, and they're going to make some adjustments, right? I mean, I like legitimately, like I think.
I would argue
this is constructive. I think this is not. I think they're going to get better. I mean,
here's the problem, Elliot. I hear what you're saying. What are they going to do? Because they need different guys. The guys they got are good enough.
Yeah,
and to your point, Andy, Dean Lowry, since he got his big contract, has regressed horribly. And then
Dean Lowry is playing like a guy named Dean Lowry.
But see, that's the problem, is that he is a complimentary guy. He's a guy that plays 15 to 20 snaps a game.
Like he's some super solid starter. I'm like, he's a rotational guy.
He played like 47 out of the 64 snaps last night. That is, unless you have nobody else to go to, Dean Lowry should be no more playing than 20 snaps a game. I mean, that's his cap. And Tyler Lancaster is out there too. Just another guy, another backup role player. You have too many role players on that defensive line, and it's killing them. They don't have anybody that is an ass kicker.
They got even Kenny Clark, but he's hurt.
Right. Yeah. So when you don't have Kenny Clark, who's going to be your next ass kicker? Right. They don't have it.
Jarius Wynn. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Jesus.
How long is Clark out for?
We don't know. And now Kirksey is out for multiple weeks with a shoulder injury.
I'll get to that.
Yeah. All right.
So on defense, I put here my opinion, but Drew Brees is washed up. The offense basically consisted of getting the ball to Kamara by any means necessary, which is a smart thing to do, but it wasn't like he was throwing bombs to Kamara. Brees cannot throw a pass longer than 10 yards right now. Did you see where he had a guy and he clutched it? He had a guy deep. When I say deep, it might have been 25 yards down the field. It was a guy out of the screen, and he was like, and he didn't pull the trigger, and he got sacked. And I'm going, he can't do it. That's something you wouldn't see from Brees anymore. He physically knows he can't do that. He knows if he makes that pass, it's going to be picked off. That kind of was telling for me.
Yeah, and I mean, I also attribute to not having Michael Thomas out there. When he knows he can just throw it wherever he wants to, and Michael Thomas will get it, and he doesn't have him out there. Does that contribute to it?
Yeah.
And Jared Cook, who's their tight end, and we know him very well, he was out in the most of the second half with an injury.
He's kind of a loafer. He's talented, but he's kind of a loafer.
He does the job. Like, I mean, he catches the ball 60 times a year, has 600 yards and 5 or 6 touchdowns. We could have that kind of production.
He was easily the best tight end we had since Finley, and Ted Thompson was like, absolutely not. We are not going to resign you.
Yep.
We're going to convert Dean Lowry to a tight end. Thank you very much.
I think that's the next step.
Yeah, really. So the run defense is not good. It's not god-awful, but without Kenny Clark, they really don't stand much of a chance. What else can you say?
Look, I have to question Peyton for actually running the ball only 22 times.
What? I'm kidding.
That should have been 40 times.
He can't throw it, and he doesn't have Michael Thomas. Jesus Christ.
Right. Well, they were averaging, I showed you that stat at halftime. They were averaging 8 yards a pop, and the end of the game was 6. Right. And the end of the game was 6, and you only ran it 22 times? I look at the Packers defense and I'm like, I'm running the ball until you guys can stop it, just like San Francisco did last
literally
year.
It'd be like, yeah, exactly. That's
what I said last night. But they see it differently. I don't know what they're looking at, but I think they
almost wonder if they feel guilty. They're like, we're paying this guy over here $8 million. We better get him involved. The GM's in his headset. I know you want to run the ball, but I have,
Yeah.
I think you just overthink things sometimes. I think that,
well,
very
these guys have crazy
coaches.
egos. They also want to be like, I can do this. The egos of some of these guys.
Well, and they're also like, this is our game. This is how we play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look at McCarthy. Was there ever a more stubborn SOB than Mike McCarthy? My word. I mean, they could have played like, the defense could have played like one down lineman for the entire game, and he's like, we're going to throw deep every time. It just wouldn't matter. Okay, so I want to get your guys' opinion on this. The Smith brothers have had a very ho-hum start to this year. Talking about Za'Darius and Preston. I said probably more a product of teams running versus passing. So neither of them can completely pin their ears back and rush the QB. I think there's something to that. Without question. I mean, they didn't bring Za'Darius Smith in here to stop the run. They brought him to rush the quarterback without question. But I did have a sub-bullet here. I mean, Za'Darius, he's getting exploited in the run game. They're running right at him, and he's getting washed out way too much. I'm not asking him to be Kenny Clark stopping the run, but I'm asking him to be better. And the fact that they run directly at him a lot, I'm not a big fan of what I'm seeing. And I mean, Preston Smith, he's just been, you haven't really seen him do much. He's not beating anybody. I don't know what else you can really say.
Opinion. I'd have to go back and watch last night's game, but I know on the replays,
hot takes right now.
The replays that I saw last night, they were combo blocking Smith, Za'Darius a ton. So what I mean by that is they had more than one guy on him at one point in time, and I can't think of too many guys that can beat that type of blocking scheme on a consistent basis. So I'm not excusing Za'Darius last night, or even this season as far as his run defense goes, because when he was in Baltimore, he was a pretty stout run defender. He was always getting penetration, getting into the backfield, making plays. But you're right. The Saints ran at him, and they did it with ease, and they were able to get outside the tackle, which against this defense is just, it's horrible. But I saw a lot of combo blocks against him, and the Saints knew who their best defenders were. The Smith brothers. That's all they had to worry about. So
that's true.
Do I attribute it to them under contributing, I guess, this year? I mean, Smith honestly has had a whole hum year so far. He really hasn't done a whole heck of a lot. Or Preston Smith, that is. Za'Darius, he's going to receive a lot of the focal point from the offense, and they're going to concentrate on where he's at and contribute as many blockers to him as they possibly can, because that's just smart.
And I think they're just going to run it a lot more. I mean, if you're passing, you're playing right into their hands. So they look, everybody's looking at that San Francisco game, the NFC Championship game, going, geez. If offensive coordinators didn't look at that and go, we should run it 80% of the time, they're stupid. Right. So that doesn't help Smith, because he's a pass rusher.
Right. And Smith, when he was in Baltimore, he played all over the line. But
they are moving him around a fair amount.
But they are. But he's playing a lot of 3 technique, which is inside of the tackle's shoulder, his right shoulder. And I don't think that's his strength. I really don't. I think he's more of a 5 technique outside of the tackles, the left tackle's left shoulder, so that he can establish the edge. I think he's better at that. But when he's inside, I don't think he has the ability to hold the block. And you saw that last night.
That's true. Next one here. Jair Alexander, another one I want to get you guys' opinion on. Jair Alexander I think he's so close to becoming great. But he drops every interception thrown his way, it seems. And he inexplicably gives up long passes. Like, was it Detroit, or was it might have been Vikings?
Minnesota.
Both. Minnesota, where it's like he just bid on something and gave up an easy touchdown when they needed a stop, to Thielen, I think it was. So it's like, again, I think he's really close, but he's got to clean that stuff up.
Yeah. And I think
he's close. I think he's playing really well, but I think if he could just clean that up a little bit, I think he's going to be an all-pro.
Yeah, and he's close. And I think the plays that he's been beaten deep on, they actually were man up. They weren't playing zone, and it was Alexander against whoever, and he got beat. So that's going to happen. I mean, these guys are going to get beat on occasions, but he's more of a zone cornerback where he read and reacts. Where King is the complete opposite. So they're playing a scheme that fits Alexander, but doesn't fit the other corner.
Yeah, no, that's
Makes
fair.
sense.
Yeah, it does. Okay, so I talked about inside linebacker. I wrote, inside linebacker is in big trouble. Christian Kirksey left with an injury, you'll love this. Christian Kirksey left with an injury, so they have two guys named Dave playing inside linebacker right now. Yuck.
And it's a show.
What else can you say? I mean, their best inside linebacker right now is probably that Barnes kid, right?
I don't know. I mean, last night Summers played, so their eyes is their second best linebacker.
He's aggressive. He can't tackle anybody. He is awful at tackling. I mean, he can read and react, but he can't tackle, man.
But he was trying to tackle Kamara. I mean, he was making everybody look like fools last night. So
I mean, let's put it this way: he's not the answer. And he's in there because of injury. But they're in deep. You know what? I don't know what else you can do though. I mean,
I don't know.
We're going to get Kamal Martin back. Let's hope I'd be stunned if he does anything this year. When you're a rookie and in a shortened preseason, abbreviated because of COVID, already to begin with, and then you miss half the season.
Yeah,
I can't see him do. I mean, it'd be great, but he was apparently playing great in the whatever preseason they had or training camp they had. So it was a shame to miss him. I was excited to see him.
Yeah, I was too because his last year in college, he was hurt a lot. He had a really banged up knee, so he wasn't 100%. Previous to that, when he was 100%, he was highly productive. So is he our next best bet when he comes back, hopefully healthy? He's going to play. I can guarantee.
It's amazing. Yeah, and it's amazing how, injuries just destroy careers.
Yeah.
I'm stating the obvious, but it's like, I'd like to know how many fringe NFL players out there could have been all pros if they just weren't injury prone. It's got to be littered with guys that could have been great, but they just could never get the knee 100% or even 90%. You know what I mean? And that's the difference in the NFL. Differences in inches and.
Oh, right.
So it's like, wow.
And we had a player that I think fits your parameters, Sam Shield. I think he could have been a really, really great cornerback, but he was hurt quite often.
Yeah.
And towards the end, obviously, I think the injuries just took his toll because he didn't have the makeup to, have a bad knee.
Yeah. He was the best undrafted free agent we've probably ever had in Ted's tenure.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a shame. I'm trying to think of some other players. Do you remember, was it Terrence Murphy?
He was a third-round draft pick, though.
He looked, from what I recall, he looked pretty good. And then that running back, Jonathan Franklin.
Yes.
Remember him? He looked really good. I remember that. And then his career got derailed, but obviously Nick Collins was all-timer, man. I think he would have been an NFL Hall of Famer. Not Packer Hall of Famer, NFL
Easy.
Hall of Famer. He was one of my all-time favorite Ted era players.
He was good.
To see, man, I got a picture right here. To be at the Super Bowl when he made that play, to watch that live was unbelievable. That was so cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, injuries, just tragedies when you think about it with some of these guys. But hey, It's what it is, right? Okay, so that's defense. I don't know if you guys have anything else to really say there. Special teams, I got one thing to say, and it's good. This unit has been very solid and consistent to start the year. J.K. Scott has only had to punt a handful of times, and Mason Crosby has made every field goal. And their coverage unit's been good. I mean, 2/3 of what they got, offense and special teams, are really damn good. The defense is not it's not as bad as we think. But the run defense is so it's like the pass defense isn't that bad, right? but the run defense is so bad that it's just like collectively dragging everything down. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. When you talk about special teams, I mean, they've been solid because today I just had this a bit. I wanted to go and look at the statistics because that's what I love. 75% touchback rate. So Crosby's been kicking every touchdown that they've scored, and coming to the initial kickoff, he's been kicking every one of them out. Opponent's kick return average is 16.4 yards, and their opponent's punt return average is a negligible 2 yards.
Wow.
So they're playing pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I can't complain about anything on special teams.
No. That's the least of our worries at this point.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, look, they're 3-0. The collective record of their opponents isn't great, but they're averaging basically 40 points a game.
They are.
Can't complain about that. The run defense. I think if they can just improve the run defense and stay healthy, you would like to think the sky's the limit, right?
It has to get better with better health and better execution.
Yeah, I mean, Kenny Clark has missed 2.5 games. And he was kind of, he's the guy where, like, if he goes down, we're in trouble. And so it's like half this stuff we're like, well, we shouldn't be terribly surprised, right? But, I think they have an early bye this year.
After the Falcon game. So
okay.
After the Monday night game next week, they have a bye. Which actually, injury-wise, couldn't come at a better time because Adams can get healthy, Clark can get healthy, and so can Kirksey. So,
yeah, I don't. Do we know how bad Kirksey's injury is?
They just said a shoulder sprain. So
he has a shoulder.
That's what I was gonna say. Is he has a shoulder? So
thanks, Mr. Goodbody.
But yeah, he's not gonna miss the year. He's gonna miss maybe a few weeks.
So Falcons at Packers, home game.
Monday Night Football.
Yeah, Atlanta has surrendered 39 points per game this season.
Whoa.
32nd in the NFL. If I don't recall, that would make them last.
If I'm 32 teams, 32nd. Yeah.
And Green Bay has.
Say that again. How many points are they averaging? Surrendering?
They have surrendered 39 on average.
Oh boy.
Okay. And Packers have averaged 42 per game that we've gotten. So we're first. So first against worst. Just throwing that out there.
There you go.
Yeah, and then the flip side, Atlanta has averaged 32 points per game.
Oh.
Which whatever that. But the Packers have surrendered 27. So I actually am pretty bullish on this game. The line so far is only favoring us by 6-7, which is hardly over home field to me. It
sounds about right though. It sounds about right because I think you said earlier the Falcons aren't as bad as their record. They have been
it's time for predictions, baby.
Well, they've been crapping the bed in the fourth quarter,
and I think we should make it very interesting. Not with money, but I think you should give a halftime prediction.
Not with money, with
and an end of the game prediction.
Ooh. Ooh. I like this turn. Yeah,
because that's where Atlanta's really been falling apart, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
it's like give us a prediction with 5 minutes left in the game, and then a prediction with a minute 50.
I mean, you can do that. Game. Whatever. I mean, I'm open to anything, but I think like halftime is good. Whatever. Halftime and the end of the game. Just
I don't think they're going to be able to sustain 40 points all the time.
Okay. Against the worst defense.
Well, I'm gonna say
it's up to you.
I'm gonna say 35 to. I'm not good at this stuff because all I really care about is the Packers winning. You can tell I don't gamble. Really. 35
fun.
35 24 Packers
for the end of the game. What you have a halftime prediction?
Halftime. That's right. Halftime, it will be 24-17.
Packers.
Correct.
Okay. This game really scares me. It reminds me of the San Diego game last year, a trap game where we were ultimately high being 7-1, and we came into San Diego and laid an absolute egg.
I was on the road, non-COVID though.
True, but I mean, the crowd didn't affect us in New Orleans, so it's not going to affect Atlanta here. It shouldn't. So
are there going to be fans at this game?
No. We're not having fans for the foreseeable
future. Yeah.
So it'll be like every other game, basically.
Oh, wow. Speak for yourself.
When was the last time Lambeau Field was a hostile environment? I mean, come on.
It's hostile enough.
It's hostile to their own fans, where you got the old geezers who are like, sit down.
Yeah, like you.
Like you.
Like me? What are you talking
all
about?
Of us, probably.
Did I tell you the story when we were at that game? I was at that game with my dad last year, and this guy behind us was this old dude, and we were getting up basically on every play, and you're not supposed to or whatever, but it's like this guy went crazy. He called an usher. It was ridiculous.
Because you're being a fan.
Packer fan on Packer fan.
All right,
time,
let Jeremy give his prediction.
All right. So I'm really worried that this is going to be a trap game. And I did predict that without Michael Thomas that the Packers were going to win. This game, they have a really good passing game. Atlanta does. They have 3 receivers that can get open on a very consistent basis. Rush-wise, they don't have a good rushing game, so this actually plays into the Packers' favor. But I still think that the Falcons are going to score their fair share of points, so I'm going to go Packers 37, and this is why it's going to be close, so it's going to be that trap game. Packers 37, Falcons 34. And at halftime, the Falcons are actually going to be winning 20-17.
Okay, I have another prediction for halftime. The Falcons are going to be playing so poorly that they shit can Quinn at halftime.
Ooh,
that'd be awesome. Has that ever happened? A coach fired at halftime?
I don't know. That'd be unprecedented.
And then as punishment for being fired and being so crappy, he has to go in the stands and watch the rest of the game. He'll be the lone fan.
Oh. Wow.
The ultimate in social distancing.
Nice.
All right.
I'm a sadist.
Elliot?
All right. So I'm going to say 17-14 Falcons at halftime. And then 42-14 Packers at the end. Or 42-17.
Wow.
42-17.
Okay.
I'm not subtracting points.
Watch it be like a baseball score. It'd be like Packers win 8-5.
Well, I wanted they should at least be able to hit that 40, right? Because
8-5 with a safety.
I want them to hit past 40. Come on, they got to pass 40.
That'd be hilarious though if it's some slugfest.
Come on. I want a blowout at home. Blowout Monday night.
The problem is the Packers can score plenty of points. They're not going to blow anybody out because of the defense.
I know.
Can't. A lot of these games are just going to be shootouts.
Mm-hmm. I know, and it probably will be. I don't know. I don't think I've ever been right on my predictions.
Sounds about right.
I don't know. Now I want to look back and line them all up, see who's been the most right. We haven't really kept track that much.
Yeah, what happened in the last game? I can't even remember what I predicted.
You guys had the Saints winning.
I did.
No, you guys both. No, you guys both had the Packers winning.
I have not picked against.
I had the Saints winning. I had Saints winning in a close one, and it was pretty close.
Andy picked the Packers.
Yeah, you both did.
Did he really? Okay.
Yeah. I remember because I was like,
"You're surprised?
This is weird that I'm the guy who's saying the Packers."
I crap all over them all the time, and I'm like, "They're terrible." What are you going to predict? 100-0 Packers.
I know. I thought I was being realistic.
This team is horrible. What are you predicting? 16-0.
But I think the Falcons are way better than their record, and
they're better than their record, but they're not that good.
But I do think the Packers are going to win. Probably not 42-17, but come on, more than
What if they tie 3-3?
They're not. What? That will not happen. I will put money down that does not happen. With anybody on any team this whole year. Tie game 3-3? No. Ain't happening. All right. Got anything else, guys?
That's it, baby.
Go back up.